And we talk a lot now about wokeism as well, right? Specifically in the form of critical race theory. And I want you to understand that Marxism and critical race theory come from the same root. Critical theory is a fundamental theory of Marxism that comes out of Marxism through the Frankfurt School in Germany, through Alexander Gramsci in Italy, right, who is an anti fascist communist in Italy, to the US, infecting US academia. And it's come through the century. This is where we get the idea of the long march through the institution and is now pollution in our society. So, where does critical race theory come from? Critical theory says you criticize everything endlessly until you can destroy the structures of society and replace it with a Marxist utopia. So, why critical race theory? And the reason for critical race theory is because critical theory and the attack on the classes and the class warfare doesn't work in the United States. And it doesn't work here because we have very mobile situation between classes, right? You can be born poor, you can become middle class, you can become wealthy. I know the left hates this, but you can lift yourself up by your bootstraps. We have incredible class mobility in the United States of America. We're the most mobile society on earth as far as class structure, right? So you can't become part of the elite. You can't go to the best schools. You can't be wealthy if you start poor. You know how many stories we have of people who started poor and became middle class, started middle class, became wealthy, started poor, became wealthy. So that's entirely available to us in the United States of America. And so this class warfare thing that is normally Marxism, it just doesn't work in this country. And so they had to insert something else into critical theory. And what they inserted was class, or instead of class, race warfare, right? That's exactly what they wanted. They want us to hate each other because of our race. So they called it critical race theory. It's the same as critical theory. And the goal is destruction. The goal is to literally to destroy everything that we hold near and dear in our society, to make people hate each other, to tear the society apart so that they can rebuild from the ashes of Marxism and from the ashes of capitalism, from the ashes of our democratic republic, from the ashes of our constitutional republic, what they see as a Marxist utopia. We have to be aware of this. And that's why I talk about it. It's not radical on my side. It's radical on their side, right? Radicalism on our side in opposition to this, defense of extremism in the defense of our nation and the defense of virtue is not something to be ashamed of. We should be radicals in defending our Constitution. We should be radicals in the defense of our society. We should be radicals in the defense of our morals and the defense of our values. We should not let them tear it down. And our battle cry this week, and you're going to hear me say this, our battle cry this week is to speak the truth, is to stand up, is to say the thing, is to identify our enemy.
There's actually a war going on in America, a war for the future of the country. What's this country going to look like? And we intend to win this war. The person who decides what we're fighting about is the person who wins the fight. There is a war going on which we must define correctly between people who believe that those in Washington, D.C. should decide for all of us and people who believe we should decide. We, the people, decide. So this project was founded with the idea that we're going to use Article 5 the way the founders gave it to us to restrain federal tyranny. We've got 2.2 million supporters on board, but we're just getting started. And we're going to come up with ideas that I can't even possibly imagine right now. We're at war over a very simple question. A question you should ask yourself all the time when you hear government doing anything. And that question is, who decides? So God bless you all. We'll see you next week on the Battle Cry.
I'm here live in Philadelphia at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. When you hear the phrase lives, fortunes, and sacred honor, these are the folks we should think of, those who anonymously gave their lives. Well, today you have a chance to volunteer. You need to volunteer for conventionofstates.com, the movement that's going to save the country. These folks are willing to step up and give everything. We need you to give just a little bit. Go to conventionofstates.com and volunteer today.